Hello and welcome to my channel. The Air India crash preliminary report is out. The report is pretty much pointing to the pilots or one of the pilots for the cause of the crash. The report, in my opinion, raises more questions than provides answers. I'm going to share with you why I suspect that this report might have some errors. Let's watch. Okay, this is the preliminary report for the Air India Boeing 787 aircraft crash. I'm not going to go through the entire report. I'm just going to point out some points on the report that caught my attention. For example, in the report says that the pilot flying the aircraft was the co-pilot and the captain was the pilot monitoring the flight. I think this is important to know. The report also provides a sequence of events with timestamps. For example, the report mentions that at 8 hours, 8 minutes and 42 seconds UTC, and immediately thereafter, the engine 1 and engine 2 fuel cutoff switches transition from run to cutoff position one after the other with a time gap of 1 second. Okay, so basically the engines were shut down right after liftoff by moving the fuel cutoff switches to the cutoff position. The report also mentions that in the cockpit voice recording, one of the pilots is heard asking the other, why did he cut off? The other pilot responded that he did not do so. Okay, let me show you a short video on how this looks like shutting down the two engines on a Boeing 787. Let's watch.
Parking brake is set.
These are the switches right here.
Cabin crew disarm slides. APU is running. Fuel control switches to cut off.
Okay, so basically in order to turn these switches to the cutoff position to shut down the engines, you have to grab the switch, pull it up, bring it down, and let go. For the number 2 engine, again, grab it, pull it up, bring it down, and then let go. So these are not switches that you can accidentally bump and they're gonna turn off, okay? You have to manually and physically do effort to move them to the off position. Another thing that I would like to point out about the report is this image right here. I'm going to zoom it in. Okay, the CCTV footage obtained from the airport show ram air turbine getting deployed during the initial climb immediately after liftoff. How come we don't have access to this camera? It looks way better than the other camera angle that everybody has. Where is this video? I have never seen this video, and it looks very, very good quality image. So I would think that the video is very good quality. And another thing that stands out from this image is that I don't see the dust or smoke in this area. Probably it's way out of frame, but I don't see anything that resembles anything about a little dust or smoke back here. Okay, some people are mentioning that maybe one of the pilots accidentally turn off the run engine or turn off the engines, I'm going to show you a video, a short video of what an emergency, like an engine shutting down right after takeoff, what it looks like and what are the procedures for the pilots. This is a simulator of a 787, and they're gonna simulate an
Knox.
engine failure right after takeoff.
Rotate.
Okay,
Engine
V1.
failure.
Okay, engine failure right there. Okay, well, I ask you, do you see any of the pilots? Do you see any of the?
Gear up.
I'm sorry. Do you see any of the pilots jumping on the controls for the throttles or the fuel switches? No. Let me show you a second video. This is probably not a 787, probably a 777 aircraft, but pretty much same procedure. They're gonna have a simulate an engine failure on takeoff. And let's look what's gonna happen. Okay, they have an engine failure right on liftoff. Okay, I think that's enough. I have shown you 3 different videos of an emergency of engine failure right after takeoff, and we don't see any of the pilots grabbing the throttles or the engine fuel cutoff switches. No, this is normal procedures. I think pilots practice this all the time, and they're very trained to not touch these controls right after takeoff. Okay, I'm going to show you a video that I made where I'm trying to timestamp the events described in the report and put them on a video to try to understand exactly what happened at what time. So let's watch this video. The first time I'm going to let you watch it without me saying anything. And then the second time around, I'm going to add some commentary. Okay, what you just saw was my attempt. And just to let you know, everything I did here could be wrong. Wrong timestamps. I probably made mistakes with the timing. Be aware of that. I'm just trying to illustrate what I read on the report and try to transfer it here to the only video we have from the airport. So now let me go back and provide some commentary here. Of course, this is not the same aircraft. Well, I don't know if it's the same aircraft, but it definitely is not the same day, not the same flight. Okay. Okay. At 7 minutes, 37 seconds, the aircraft started the takeoff roll, according to the report. Now, this aircraft, I saw probably 7 or 8 videos from Boeing 787s taking off. And the one that took the longest to take off was 45 seconds. They pretty much take between 30 and 45 seconds to take off. The Air India Boeing 787 that crashed took almost 1 full minute. So apparently this is taking way longer. Okay, according to the report, at the 35-second mark, the aircraft reached BR speed. That's when the pilots pull on the joystick and they start, takeoff, liftoff. According to the report, at the 39 seconds mark, the aircraft lift off. Okay, let's stop right there. According to the report, at the 42-second mark, both engines' fuel cutoff switches were put in the cutoff position. So both engines are shut down at the 42-second mark, according to the report. "47-second mark, engines go below minimum idle and the rat starts to pump hydraulically. Okay, this is where I start getting a headache, okay? I ask you something. Do you notice something weird right there? According to the report, at the 52 seconds mark, the number 1 engine fuel switch was put in the run position. From the fuel cutoff, switches put it back to run position, number 1 engine, 10 seconds passed. 10 precious seconds. At the 54-second mark, the APU starts its startup logic. Now, at the 56-second mark, according to the report, the number 2 engine fuel switch was put in the run position. Now, if you noticed and you made the calculations from 42-second mark, where the engines were shut down, to the number 2 engine put in the run position, that's 14 seconds. 14 seconds. Now, I would think, well, let's continue. Okay, according to the report, one of the pilots reported on the radio, "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday," but there's nothing else mentioned about trust not achieved or anything like that. So Okay. At 9 minutes, 11 seconds, the EAFR, the flight recorder, stopped recording. Now, at 42-second mark, where the engines were cut off, according to a report, one of the pilots asked the other pilot, why did he cut off the engines? The other pilot responded that he did not do so. You know what? The captain has 15,000 hours of experience, according to the report, and the co-pilot, if I'm not mistaken, he has like 3,000 or 5,000 hours. So these are experienced pilots, especially the captain. You know, any pilots out there, airline pilots, I ask you, if you lose both engines right after liftoff, what the first thing comes to mind? Man, you're gonna crash. It's gonna be pretty much impossible to restart the engine, especially if your APU is off. Okay? I asked myself if one of the pilots saw the other one or heard the other one putting the switch, one of the switch for the engines down to the fuel cut off, I would think that immediately that person will react to try to grab the other person's hand to try to stop him. Or another thing that comes to mind, asking why you shut down the engines. No, what you would hear is a punch in the face. That's how I think a person will react to a pilot shutting down the engines right after liftoff. You know, a punch in the face and immediately turning the switches back on in the run position. That's what comes to mind. But start asking like, why do you shut down? That sounds not credible. Something is not right. 10 seconds, 10 precious seconds pass from engines shut down to try to restart the engines. Why 10 seconds? What happened in those 10 seconds? And 14 seconds from fuel cut off, engine shut down to try to restart the number 2 engine. Why? I don't understand. And we're talking about, according to the report, that the switch was put back in the run position. So you're starting the start process for the engines 14 seconds later for the number 2 engine. This is crazy. What did the pilots say to each other in those 14 seconds? They didn't say anything. Why would you put out a report just to something little bit that the pilot said, and you're not gonna put anything else on the report? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Something doesn't look right here, doesn't add up, you know. This is for me almost bizarre. You know, this is crazy. Something is not right about this report. Experienced pilots, you know, shutting down the engines, one of them manually, and then waiting 14 seconds to restart the engine. No. Now, let me show you something else that caught my attention on this video. If you see right there, supposedly both engines were shut down. Now, if you notice the angle of attack of the aircraft is still like this, I don't know. Please, a pilot out there corrects me. That's 8 degrees nose up, 10 degrees nose up, 12 degrees nose up, approximately. They're supposed to have no engines right there. and that nose keeps coming up 12 degrees, maybe 10, 12 degrees. They have no engines at this moment. And the nose still up. Now they start going down and the nose still up. Nose, wow, right there. Even more angle of attack, 15 degrees. I don't know. So this to me, it looks very weird. Let me show you a very short video of a flight training. This kid training for a flight, and the instructor is going to simulate an engine failure right on takeoff, right after takeoff. And look what he's going to do, how he's going to react. Okay.
All right, you got your climb speed, right? Yep. Push forward.
Up,
Now,
engine down.
good landing.
Okay. I'm going to stop it right there. What's the first thing that the kid does? He brings the nose down because he knows if he keeps the nose up, probably he's going to stall. He's going to stall the aircraft and he's going to lose control. So he doesn't want to do that, and that's why you bring the nose down to gain a little bit of speed and maintain control of the aircraft. So this is like basic training. So going back to the Air India Boeing 87 crash, they keeping this nose up all the time. It seems to me that the engines are not off, probably lacking power at that moment. They're testing if they can maintain at least level flight. You know, this right there, if the engines are totally shut down, why in the world you're keeping the aircraft like this? Maybe they're desperate. Maybe they don't know what to do. But it seems to me that that's not what the training, what those pilots are trained for, to react with an engine failure. So, you know, in my point of view, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah. In my opinion, I still think that when this aircraft was going down, they still have engine power, just not enough. So it's hard for me to understand and agree with this preliminary report. It doesn't look good. It doesn't add up. It raises more questions than provides answers. So anyways, take care and see you in the next video.